Good morning. Fancy breakfast? Quick and easy? How about both? Good morning and welcome to the Radical Geek YouTube channel. This morning we are going to make an open-faced blistered tomato omelet. It sounds elaborate, but I think that you'll see that it's pretty easy. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn on our pan. You want some pretty hearty heat, not all the way high, but more than medium. And you're going to put in about an 1/8 cup of avocado oil. If you want bacon fat, use bacon fat. If you want butter, use butter, but also still you need to add in a little bit of another oil like an avocado oil or something else with a high burn tolerance, because the butter will brown too much and it will ruin everything. It will still taste delicious at first, and then you'll get that burnt aftertaste, and we want browning, not burning. But the technique we're going to do this morning is we're going to make blistered tomatoes. And if you don't know what blistered tomatoes are, they're cooked hot and fast in olive oil, and in this case, avocado oil. You can use olive oil if you want. I don't actually have any right now, and so I'm using my avocado oil. But what happens is that pulls the skin up away from the flesh of the tomato, and then it gets literally blistered, and it brings forth all of the juiciness and the sweetness in the tomato. And right now we are in tomato season, so all our little grape and cherry tomato plants are blooming, and they've got tons of nice varietal of tomatoes. So this is really the ideal time for this dish. This is a keto compliant dish. So, but if you're not a vegetable eater, then this is maybe not your favorite recipe. But if you are a summertime veggie eater and you are also getting your harvest from your garden, this is going to be perfect. So I do have my tomatoes. I've got my oil heating up. The other things we are going to use with this dish is I have finely chopped up herbs from the garden. Today's harvest was sage, fresh thyme, and 2 basil leaves off my plants, and a little glob of oregano, and I just took it and chopped it up right on my cutting board. And so I don't know if you can see it or not, but they're fairly chunky sized, but not gigantic. It's not finely minced. They're in larger pieces, and you want that because you want to get that very nice herbaceous flavor. I can see that my oil is rippling. So I have my tomatoes, my herbs, I have salt and pepper, I have a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese grated, and 3 eggs beaten, and 1 clove of garlic. So what we're going to do is I'm going to turn it down just a teeny smidge because it's getting smoking, but that is what you want because we are going to blister the tomatoes. So, and be cautious. You don't want to get burned by the hot oil. As you can see, it's popping up. It's very vigorous, and that is something to be wary of. So, do caution. Toss in your garlic. And then go ahead and just stir it around. Careful to not get burned. If it's too vigorous, turn it down just a smidge. Probably you could wear an apron, but I did not. But I will tell you, I can tell you that the tomatoes now, the skin is lifting up. It's popping open. You want to let these go a little bit so that they get soft and kind of squishy. You don't want your garlic to burn, so pull it up to the side if it starts getting too brown right away. But you do want it to get that dark and toasty sort of flavor. Once you see your tomatoes starting to come down a little bit and they're blistering and the oil settles just a smidge, that's when we're going to go ahead and toss in our herbs to get them browned up a little. Now we're just going to give it a minute or so to everything to get warm and sauced up. And it will start our next couple steps. So I don't think I can quite get the camera yet. And we're trying to reconfigure the indoor studio. I think we have some ideas for the future, but they're not implementable right this second. Maybe by next month, hopefully we'll be outside more. But we're working on it. It's actually coming along quite nice. I think actually the raised table has been good. But you can see my lovely tomatoes getting in here. They're not quite squishy, so we're going to keep going just a little. And it settled down a little bit as it softened up. So we're going to go ahead and for just a minute, we're going to put the lid on. And that's going to trap in some of the moisture and also prevent things from, like the garlic, from burning, because now it's good and toasty. And we still need a few minutes of cooking time. Not a few minutes, a few seconds really. But this is the perfect time. Just keep an eye on it. Have a drink of your coffee. I didn't make the coffee this morning. Someone else in the household did. Probably Attila. And let me tell you, it is delicious. They came out perfect. I'm so happy. It's kind of a cranky bear this morning. So, yeah, you know, some mornings that's what happens. All right. My tomatoes are there. They're nice. And you could gently push them with the spatula and they're not bursting, but they could if I pressed with any sort of force. And yeah. So the next step is, this is the part I mentioned an open-faced omelet. We're never going to fold it or flip it. That's part of the thing here. You're going to turn your heat down to low. If you wanted, you could add slivered onion. I feel that with this amount of tomatoes, that's enough for my carbohydrates for my morning meal. I want to save some later so that I can have a keto chow ice cream. So these tomatoes will be where I'm at. And here is the best part about this omelet. We're going to let it sit. We will have to fiddle with it a little bit, but not a ton. And you kind of, right now is the time where you want to squish your tomatoes around so that they're kind of evenly spread. And boom, we're going to cover. Actually, we're going to remember that to put the salt and pepper and just sprinkle that across the top. Sprinkle across the top. That's it. We didn't have to mix it in. You don't have to do anything. Set it. Got all our dishes here. We'll set those off to the side. So far, not too hard, right? Easy peasy. Everyone can do it. Nothing too scary or elaborate. Our dishes cleaned up. One thing I'm going to do, you can keep this on there if you want, but I like to go around the edges and pull some of my cooked egg up and bring some of the uncooked egg off onto the sides and let it leak under a little bit. But you don't have to do this step. I do recommend it. I feel like it provides a more evenly cooked flat. Just go around there a couple times and then we'll put the lid back on and let it cook through. But I do feel like a little bit it helps with the browning on the bottom being a little more even and avoids having some of the less creamy egg on top, which is a personal preference of mine. A lot of people prefer their eggs less done than I do. But I know I'm far from the only one who likes a non-runny egg when it's scrambled or omeletized. So I'm just going around here with the edges. It's not hard. You just push it down with your spatula. It comes right away. Use your little non-stick omelet pan. And there, most of the stuff in the middle is now there. It's not cooked on top, but it's also not a pool. And as you can see, there's basically no liquid. And here's where we're going to cover to let it steam and cook the top and soften everything. I almost put my dirty spatula on my finger towel, where I have a spatula towel over here. This one gets to go in the laundry with the high sterilize, and the white towels go in a bleach. I don't know if that's like just like a crazy laundry thing that we do, or if other people follow those standards. Let me know. You don't gotta let me know about your laundry habits, but I figure why not? We talk about everything else, right? And I'm cheating. I'm really thirsty this morning, but I had my little glass of plain water. Every day I wake up and I drink a small glass of water just to start the day off, but I just really needed my fizzy, so I've got Kirkland sparkling water in lime. It's cheating like having soda, but it's water, so I'm allowing it today. It's not an everyday thing, but I usually save my fizzy waters for later in the day, especially when I can ice it up and it's going to be hot in the afternoon. But today we had that. So now my omelet is basically most of the way cooked. It needs a little bit more steaming on top. So that's where I'm going to come in with my Parmesan. And you just sprinkle this all across the top to finish it off. It's very humid. I got to break up one little piece that stuck together. I mean, heaven forbid that we get a little chunk of Parmesan, right? But, so there we go. And then we're just going to continue to let this sit and infuse a little bit and firm up with the steam in the pan. So you'll have that lovely crunch on the bottom that's going to come from the oils and the herbs, which some of it are on the bottom, but most of the herbs have lifted up into the egg, so that will permeate throughout. And again, like I said, our tomatoes are super soft, but not squished, and they're not like bleeding out into the dish. So you're going to have these pops of the sweet and tangy tomato, that nice acidity blending with your eggs. Other things you could do is when you're blistering the tomatoes, you could also chop up a chili pepper of your choice. If you like it spicy, get yourself a habanero. The fruitiness of the habanero goes really well with the tomatoes. If you like it a little bit more gentle, go with jalapeno. That's again also very sweet and with just a little bit of spice. If you don't like spice, but you still want a little bit of that different flavor profile, try an Anaheim pepper. I would not go with poblano because it's sort of like a conflicting profile. It's a little bit too savory and not enough of that fruity tart. So the poblanos are in a different category, and I would not have them with this dish. But you could do many things. You can throw in, like I said, diced onions. You could add mushrooms while you're blistering your tomatoes and get those sauteed. I caution you with mushrooms, though, is that they can get watery, so you want to be careful about that. And this dish is done. Set this to the side here. You go around it, and we're just going to slide this right off onto our plate. We're going to say, come on, don't screw it up, Maitreya. Except for I did. It tore, because of course it did. Strive for pretty good, not perfection, because nothing is ever perfect. Granted, we make these all the time, and they do come out perfect. So, you know, when you do it on camera, that's when it's going to not be perfection. But just slide it a little bit on my plate because I got too close to the edge. Fiddle, fiddle, fiddle. All right, there we go. There's our blistered tomato omelet. Open-faced omelet. If you wanted to try and be fancy and fold it, it'll just tear right down the middle because it's too tender and fluffy. Oh no, too tender and fluffy. Never. So there you go. Enjoy your breakfast. You have a good one, and I will talk to you all later. Oh, wait. I bet you guys would like it if I tasted this, right? I swear, it's delicious, not yucky at all. So, proof. Sorry, I got carried away. I was thinking about going to work with my omelet. It's super hot. I don't want to burn my mouth when the tomato juice gooshes out. Mm. Mm. Perfection. Okay. Now for reals, enjoy your day. I don't know why the camera suddenly got blurry. It didn't like when I put the omelet up front, but work in progress, right? Enjoy, guys. Have a great day.